Well, it is Saturday evening, December the 15th, and that means it is the last day of the 8-day festival of Hanukkah in 2012. If you watched my previous video, you know the whole story by now, the dramatic series of events that took place long ago in the period between the Old and New Testaments, approximately the years 167 to 164 BC, when the Syrian-Greek Empire dominated what we now know to be the Middle East, and at that time had forbidden the Jews from worshiping God according to the dictates of their own consciences, took away from them their God-given right to worship, and in fact demanded that ultimate loyalty and devotion be given to none other than the emperor, the representative of the state. So that tension between obeying God and obeying man was as relevant then as it is now. And Hanukkah is an inspiration to us because, if you recall the story, a very small number of Jews went up against seemingly insurmountable numbers of Syrian Greek soldiers, and they were able to reclaim the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, cleanse it of the idols that had been erected there, and reinstitute the worship of the one true God, and in the process reclaimed their God-given right and the freedom of all people to worship God according to the dictates of their own consciences. So this is a very relevant holiday, and it's one that's terribly important. That's why I encourage Christians as well as Jews to celebrate Hanukkah, and it's a cause for rejoicing and remembering those heroic and very brave acts of so long ago, people who stood up for their convictions and their principles and their beliefs. And it's an inspiration for all of us to do the same today. Now, this year, of course, the festivities of Hanukkah are dampened by the tragedy of recent days and the terrible, terrible, unspeakable loss of life in a horrific act in Connecticut. In fact, it's just up the road from where I am now. I'm speaking to you from Yonkers, New York. I'm here on a speaking engagement in nearby Bronx, New York. But Fairfield County, Connecticut is just up the road, and there are many people in this community with connections there. So it's being deeply felt here, as it is all across the country and around the world. The loss of 20 children and 8 adults is unfathomable to us. And so while Hanukkah is in fact a holiday for rejoicing, it's impossible not to remember the loss of these precious ones, the families that are living with this excruciating pain now. But we can rejoice for the bravery that took place even in those last moments when a principal put her own life at risk and in fact surrendered her life in order to protect the children under her charge. To rejoice in the courage of the first responders who reacted and came to the scene ready for anything, although sadly it was too late. And of course, the courage of all those loved ones who are left behind and must face now the pain of their recovery and the memory of those they lost. So with all of that, we will rejoice and celebrate this Hanukkah, but we'll celebrate the memory of those precious children who were a gift of God to each of those families, those dedicated teachers and others who died while in charge of those precious lives, and the courage of first responders who come to our aid in the most impossible of circumstances. And in their memory, we now light the last lights of Hanukkah 2012, praying that traditional prayer, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotah v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Praise be thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who commands us to light the lights of Hanukkah. And in honor of all those brave and courageous souls all through time, I wish you and yours a happy Hanukkah.